it's easy to talk to people. Plus, you got to throw in a little bit of dancing as well. Meet Zachary Carlisle. His company is called Convergent Arts. I'm excited. Let's go meet this fella. Hey Zach, and thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about you.
My name is Zachary Sanders. I go by Zachary Carlisle, which is confusing. Carlisle's my middle name, but I kind of like my artist moniker.
Same as me, like Eli Samuel. It's not my last name, but it sounds fancy.
Just the ring, rolls off the tongue nicer. I would say my three main passions have been music, theater, and event producing. Like combined with community building. I've been doing all of them for a good decade or more, depending. Like theater was my first love.
Yeah.
And then once I graduated college, I started an arts collective in my early 20s, and that was like the genesis of this kind of through line idea concept that I've had, going through all the iterations of collectives that I've started in the past decade.
That's a great segue into the next section, because maybe introduce us to your business and what you're actually doing so the audience understands, but also as well, like the collaborative nature. I'm really interested to go to the event to see how that they can intermingle together.
Yeah.
'Cause that's a big question.
Yeah.
Well, whether or not this works or not.
Yeah, so I moved here in February, and I would say a few weeks into being here, I can't say if it was out of like a need for friends or like
That's why I'm doing this.
a need to have a purpose, like why am I here kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also just kind of like going to like what I know, and seeing, I've had two different iterations so far, and was just trying to see like, oh, how would this third iteration work in a new city? So yeah, a few weeks in, I came up with a name. We're called Convergent Arts, and like in the three iterations, I've been trying to whittle down or make it as the title as concise as possible. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, what's the name? What's the proper thing that just says exactly what it is? It's like, all right, so we got multiple art forms converging together. Convergent Arts, done.
What's your secret in how you get them to intermingle so well? How do you quality control?
That is part of the magic, really, because with our curated shows, of course, as far as quality control, you're doing the scouting, you're doing the curating, so you're in charge of what kind of quality of the artists are coming through. Whereas with these open mics, it's open to everyone, and it's a toss-up of what you can get, and generally, you're always like, is there gonna be something that really brings down the quality or makes things wonky, and of course you're always gonna have those occasional just first time jitters and things like that, but overall it's been pretty phenomenal to see when a supportive and passionate space is created, then even if it's their first time, even if their own perception of their quality isn't that great, then just something happens. A lot has happened on these nights where people are will arrive at 7 and stay until after the show is over, just because of the energy and and just the shared passion that's flowing through the space.
So tell me, who's on your team?
Yes. So on our team, we have we call them the Knights of the Round Table.
Nice.
And it's a growing group that just kind of have been starting to formulate. We have Paul Pillar. He was kind of there at the genesis. Him and I went in on the first venue, and so he was there at the start. And then Hayley Julian joined in, and she's an awesome contributor and as far as like it's such a brilliant mind on creating spaces. And our most recent member is Malcolm Bradford. And so yeah, all of us are in the same kind of mindset of creating immersive spaces. We're all kind of nerds too, so we get to do a lot of like nerd things, like we want to do the elements, or things like that. And yeah, this us four are the primary ones behind putting on this upcoming event, and I'm just really excited, because this will be the first event of the round table. So I'm really excited to see all of this come together.
What does this project mean to you? Personally to you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it means everything to me, just because it's so intertwined with who I am and what I do. I think as a person who often, feels unwelcomed in social situations and awkward, or kind of like that misfit energy or whatever, that I really want to. It means the world to me, because I feel like creating spaces where people can feel at home is so important, and I feel like people often don't feel at home in their own homes. So to be able to create space where not only myself but anybody else who needs it can feel that and feel connected and feel like we're creating. Like we're literally, most literally manifesting our dreams.
Tell me about a success story from one of these events.
I would say there's two that stick out. One would be our first event. This was at the end of March, and we had just started. No one knew who we were or what we were about, or anything.
In Texas?
In Texas,
Yep.
So this was in March of this year in Austin. We were at our first show was at this location called the Tiger Den in East Austin, and it's an open mic. No one knows who we are, so at the most we were expecting 15 to 30 people. Like at the most, like that was pushing it. We were really thinking it was going to be like a nice intimate 15, and then. Show began, lo and behold, we had over 100 people that night. So I would say we started off with a success story, having our first show and having the amount of attendees triple our expectations. And I would just say one, kind of side tangent, one other success story is at a couple different events, we've had people that, not only have we, have a wide array of ages and backgrounds and stuff like that, but just to see people who have been living in town for 15 to 20 years, and for them to speak to that the events that we create are the most diverse that they've seen in the entire time that they've lived here.
What is the biggest version of this dream that you can imagine?
What has been the overarching goal in my mind, for the past decade, is acquiring a property of some sort. Something I was thinking a church property, just because they have the most, space access. But basically turning the, whatever property, be it a church property or otherwise, turning that into an artist community center, essentially. To where, there's, in that same vein of bringing multiple art forms together, then through this, complex, through this property, we're able to have, concerts and, and different type of events. Artists can, have their kids in daycare while they're in the studio, refitting all the rooms to be studios and artist spaces and recording studios, and having a permaculture garden. They're just basically having a space where all artists can come through to not only create, collaborate, or perform or present, but having that all be in one space.
if someone in the audience wants to support you, is there a way that they can do that?
I mean, if you wanted to support financially, that you can always Venmo or Cash App Convergent Arts. That's the handle. But really, I would say the support that we need, and that's like way more important than the finances, is just getting the word out. Following us on Instagram. And just spreading the gospel, the Convergent Arts gospel, essentially. Just getting the word out to as many people as possible. Because that's how we even got connected, is, just different people talking about it. And so I think that's really the most valuable thing to us right now, is having as much of Austin and surrounding areas know about who we are and what we're doing as possible. So in any way that people can do that, that would be the best way to support.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes. No, thank you. I'm just so honored that you brought me on here.
I just
Definitely follow us on IG, Convergent Arts.
I just hope we can get some more people to your shows and to experience it. And now that they've seen it on the screen, because they would have seen it by now, like definitely, it'd be interesting to see how all of these things mix together. Because obviously I haven't been to the event yet. That's on Saturday, but the audience will have. Thank you. Cheers. Cheers for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for this opportunity. Like I said, it's the first step into like putting a face to, behind the name. So, I'm just honored by this opportunity. Just because, this is going to do a lot for. I think we've been a faceless organization, and so having a personability to it